For one to be considered a true badass, one must either be brave enough to take on a challenge many would consider too difficult, or fight for what they believe in by going against the social norm around them. Casey and I have decided on 10 Americans who fit into these categories, and fit in the top 10 most badass Americans. Number 10. John Smith. John Smith was the colonial governor responsible for Jamestown's success. Smith created maps of the area and forced the privileged rich to help with the colony's establishment. Without John Smith, Jamestown would have failed any British attempts to colonize North America and leaving the U.S. to go unfounded.
I helped save the British colonization process by forcing all the rich, privileged colonists in the colony to work.
Oh, I'm so thirsty.
Oh no. You want the water? You want the water? Get back to work, you lazy son of a...
Number 9. Stonewall Jackson. Stonewall Jackson was a Confederate general who was known for his perseverance and fantastic strategies. Jackson only ever lost one battle, and was therefore a leading cause of the Civil War lasting as long as it did. Jackson finally encountered death after his own soldiers shot his arm, putting him on bed rest, and eventually dying of pneumonia. Jackson's death was so significant that it is considered a turning point for the Union.
Is that Stonewall Jackson?
Oh no, we're doomed. I heard he's never lost a single battle.
Want reinforcements on the western front. Oh my.
Oh dear God, did we do that?
I didn't do anything.
God damn it, Jerry. After all these years, you're the one that kills me? You suck.
Number 8. Dwight Eisenhower. Eisenhower began as a fantastic World War II general and eventually graduated to president. As a general, Eisenhower constructed D-Day, the invasion of Normandy that would liberate France and bring the Allies closer to victory. As president, Eisenhower ended the Korean War, a mature decision coming from a former general.
Hello, soldier. We are going to be conducting the most terrible and perilous battle of the century in order to liberate our ally, France. We are going to boat to the beaches of Normandy, but we will not be able to reach the beach. So you will need to jump into the water in full gear and swim to shore. Now, if you make it that far, you're going to have to crawl through the sand, through German fire, in order to reach the base of this cliff. And then, if you make it that far, you're going to have to climb up this cliff and approach German bunkers. And then, if you make it that far, you're going to have to crawl through trenches in terrible conditions with little food for about 3 weeks. Are you up to it?
Number 7. Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman risked her life nightly in order to guide hundreds of slaves throughout the Underground Railroad. Tubman walked hundreds of miles over a 10-year span in order to free these individuals. After these years, Tubman would even disguise herself in order to spy on Confederate forces. Without Tubman, hundreds of slaves would have had to wait for freedom until the Reconstruction era.
The Harriet Tubman. She's already helped 70 slaves escape in the South. 3 of them being my very own. Black woman working with the government. Unbelievable.
Number 6. George Patton. George Patton was known as one of the best generals of his time. Patton was confident and faithful in his soldiers and terrified the German army. Patton made a revolutionary decision to remain in Germany after the war, a mistake made after World War I that would cause World War II. Patton would walk the battlefields and uplift shell-shocked soldiers, giving his army the courage to continue through war.
I'm George Patton, World War II general and a self-proclaimed badass. Soldiers love me, crowds fear me. As the most respected general in World War II, I handle war very well. But war is hell, and my soldiers are not as perilous. A soldier, nobody wants to be out here. But I'm George Patton, so you're gonna get your
Okay, General Patton.
Number 5. William T. Sherman. Sherman was a Union general, credited with orchestrating and conducting Sherman's March to the Sea. Sherman and his men burned down the South and all of its supplies for war. Due to Sherman's merciless invasion, the South was pushed towards surrender in order to preserve their land, resources, and people.
Think you went a little overboard, General Sherman?
Nope.
Number 4. Henry Clay. Henry Clay might be the obvious choice to A-push teachers, wink wink, but outside the classroom, Clay often goes unnoticed. Clay was responsible for the Missouri Compromise, the Compromise of 1850, and the American System. Clay single-handedly delayed the Civil War for around half a century and ensured a strong central government before a newly formed country was thrown into war.
Hi, I'm Henry Clay, the only person in America who isn't a complete idiot. You may know me as the guy who has prevented all the man babies in the North and South from going to war with each other. Missouri Compromise, that was me. Compromise of 1850, that was me too. Heck, I'm even writing a compromise down right now just in case they decide to fight each other for some stupid reason again, which they probably will. And on top of that, we don't even have a strong centralized government anymore. A national bank, protective tariffs, transportation, forget it! It's now all lost thanks to good old President Jackson. I hope you're happy, America.
Number 3. Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt was one of the first progressive presidents, using his platform to fight the wrongs of the Gilded Age. Roosevelt protected consumers with food and drug laws, controlled corporations with the Sherman Antitrust Act, and conserved the environment by creating dozens of national parks. Without Teddy Roosevelt, our death rate would be higher, monopolies would run the government, and our environment would be much more polluted.
I was born with some pretty bad asthma. As a result, I decided to train myself to become a man in one of these forests, as like the one you see in this national park. That's how I got this big stick I'm holding right here. All the training I got helped me realize that nature deserved to be preserved by the government. And this big stick helped me develop my motto. Speak softly, but carry a big stick, in case you need to use it to beat the shit out of people.
You Teddy Roosevelt.
Like that.
Number 2. The Navajo Code Talkers. The Code Talkers were a group of Native Americans who spoke in Navajo, an unwritten language. They would carry heavy equipment in the front lines of several World War II battles, where they would communicate with other Navajo talkers and translate orders, while other soldiers had to protect them at all costs. Due to the Navajo language having been unable to translate by the Japanese, the Code Talkers helped America to win the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa, 2 battles that helped America make large milestones in the Pacific theater during the war. Their contribution was ironic, however, since America had constantly been forcing the natives to abandon their culture and language before the war.
Tackle. Ai Hishinai. Oh my god. Why are we doing this again?
Number 1. Desmond Doss. Desmond T. Doss was a combat medic in World War II who, due to religious purposes, vowed to never carry a gun. Doss was constantly bullied and called weak in military training, but once the Army went into a dangerous zone in the Pacific called Hacksaw Ridge, and America was forced to retreat, Doss stayed behind and helped save at least 75 American lives by lowering them off a rope on a cliff. Doss's courageousness brought greater respect and unity to all soldiers within Doss's unit, as well as the rest of the Army in the Pacific, which helped America score major victories against Japan. Doss was also a very selfless man in the most extreme situations, often crossing in front of gunfire to help his fellow soldiers.
Come on, we're gonna get you out of here. We're gonna get you out of here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm getting you out of here.